Buckle your seatbelts, Steelers fans, because Fox Sports NFL insider Jordan Schultz reported yesterday that the expectation among many NFL teams is that the 2026 NFL Draft will be one of the more trade-heavy drafts in recent memory. And, of course, the Pittsburgh Steelers have 12 draft picks to work with, which means they have the ammo to definitely make multiple moves to go get their guys in the 2026 NFL Draft class this year. And today here on Steelers Talk, we're going to be breaking down the latest Steelers draft trade rumors as Omar Khan is almost certainly working the phones as we speak, setting up a number of different trade scenarios for the Pittsburgh Steelers just 2 weeks away from the start of the 2026 NFL Draft. Now, before we get into the content today, make sure you guys click that subscribe button if you haven't already, because we're providing you guys in-depth Steelers draft analysis every single day on this channel for free. We've got in-depth prospect analysis of all the players that the Steelers are looking at. We actually just got a new crop of players coming in for visits today that we'll talk about in our afternoon video today. But then positional rankings, we just put out our offensive line round one draft targets video yesterday if you want to check that out. Also a pre-draft visit tracker that we're doing every single week, letting you guys know every single prospect that is coming in here to Pittsburgh for a top 30 visit. And also we have weekly 7-round mock drafts for you guys to enjoy. We got a number of them on the channel already if you guys want to check those out. But all this content, guys, it's 100% free. So with just 2 weeks left to go into the NFL Draft, if you don't want to miss a thing, not to mention we'll be live for the entirety of the NFL Draft this year. Make sure you guys click that subscribe button for all of your Steelers draft intel this season. All right, so now let's get into the trade discussion here when it comes to the NFL Draft, because Pittsburgh will probably make multiple trade-ups this year. Of course, the Steelers have the most picks in the NFL Draft this year out of any of the 32 NFL franchises with 12. There's a number of teams with 11 picks. The Steelers are the only team with 12 picks, and I think that it's pretty unlikely that the Steelers are going to be using all 12 of their draft picks this year. I think that they're going to want to move up and go get the guys that they want specifically in the early rounds, and there's definitely going to be opportunities to do that. And I think Pittsburgh is actually well positioned to move up in round one if they want. And if there's somebody in particular at a position of need that they really want to go get in round one, they definitely have the ammo to be able to do that. And according to Jordan Schultz in his report, there's going to be a lot of teams looking to move around in the NFL Draft in the first round this year. This is what he had to say. Several executives I've spoken with believe we're likely to see a flurry of activity in the first half of round one when it comes to trades. Additionally, because the specific draft lacks depth in the later rounds, many teams plan to pursue extra day 2 and early day 3 picks. Per league sources, obviously the Steelers have plenty of those picks, right? They have 3 third-rounders and then 2 fourth-rounders, so the Steelers have a lot of ammo to move around, especially in those early rounds of the NFL Draft this year. And ESPN's Bill Barnwell thinks that Pittsburgh could trade up with the Miami Dolphins all the way up to number 11, so move up 10 spots to go get somebody here. And this is the trade that Barnwell is suggesting here. The Steelers will get pick number 11 and a 6th-rounder in 2027, and in exchange, the Dolphins would get pick 21, pick 76, that's a 3rd-round pick, and then a 2nd-rounder next year in 2027. And then in this trade, the player that he has the Steelers targeting is safety out of Ohio State, Caleb Downs. Now, it's looking more and more likely that Downs could be available at pick number 11. Now, it's certainly possible that a team like Cincinnati, for example, could take him at 10. I think the Commanders are in play for him at number 7. Also, the Saints could maybe use a safety as well. So I look at that as Downs probably not being available at number 11. But if he is, I do think that this is a player that maybe the Steelers could consider moving up for. This is what Barnwell had to say in his trade idea. The Steelers don't often make major moves up the board, but when they have in round one, it usually has been for defenders that they see as future superstars. If Ohio State safety Caleb Downs falls out of the top 10, he keeps lingering in my head as a player who could fascinate the Steelers. On paper, the Steelers don't need immediate help at safety. Jalen Ramsey converted over from cornerback in season a year ago. DeShon Elliott should return after an injury-impacted 2025. Pittsburgh GM Omar Khan also signed Jaquan Brisker to a 1-year deal in free agency, adding another playmaker at the position this offseason. Remember, though, that the Steelers are willing to let even their first-round picks on defense sit and learn in reserve or situational roles as rookies. Polamalu didn't start during his rookie campaign, Devin Bush started only 15 games, but the but the Steelers subbed him off the field regularly for third downs, and Caleb Downs wouldn't need a direct path to a starting role to justify this deal. Now, honestly, guys, I don't really see this as a particularly realistic trade for the Pittsburgh Steelers for a number of reasons. All right, first, does Miami really want to trade from 11 to 21? Like, they already have a second first-round draft selection at number 30 after trading Jalen Waddle to the Denver Broncos. And number 11, like, you can get a pretty premium draft prospect at that spot, whereas if you go down to 21, yeah, you're still getting a good player, but it's not necessarily like a premium player like you could get at number 11. So I'm not sure Miami would do this deal. Also, is Pittsburgh really looking for a day one starter at safety? Now, Barnwell does say, oh, well, the Steelers don't have to make Caleb Downs a day one starter to justify this deal, but I have to disagree with that personally, guys. Like, you can take a look here at what the Steelers have in their secondary. Jalen Ramsey expected to be this big nickel here in Pittsburgh. Now, in their base formations, he's expected to be a safety, but I think they're going to live in nickel more this year just because they can. They got DeShon Elliott, they got Jaquan Brisker, and I do think safety is a position that this team is going to want to address in the first 2 days of the NFL draft and get a future starter at that position. I'm just not sure if they're going to be willing to trade up and especially give up 2027 draft capital to get a guy that's not really going to be a full-time starter from the word go, right? I think if you're going to be trading up for somebody and giving up this much draft capital, they got to start right away. And also, you look at next year's draft, the Steelers, there's a very high likelihood that they're going to be looking to draft a quarterback in the first round of the NFL draft next year, and giving up your second-round pick is going to definitely hurt your chances of being able to put together a package to move up for a quarterback if you want to do that. So I don't think the Steelers want to mess with any of their 2027 draft capital this year. And to be honest, I don't think Pittsburgh is really going to be looking to make a big move up in round one. I think that, the positions that they're looking at, wide receiver, offensive line, safety, there's enough good players at these positions that are going to be available at pick number 21 where they don't really need to move up in this year's first round. And honestly, man, I think that if the Steelers are going to make a trade in the first round, I think a trade back into the first round or maybe early second round is more likely than moving up from number 21, right? Like, it's very possible that they look at wide receiver and then offensive line as the two positions that they want to address. They could take a player at 21, trade back into the first round, and then take a player that they like at the other position that they don't use the number 21 overall selection with. I think that is a very good strategy for the Pittsburgh Steelers, and I like that more than trading up from number 21. Unless you're getting like a really, really good football player that is definitely worth the price tag. So let me know what you guys think down there in the comment section. Which player or players would you like to see the Steelers trade up for in round one of the draft this year? Let me know down there in the comment section. This will be the pinned comment on today's show. So in just a second here, I'm going to tell you about a nice piece of merch that you guys can purchase from our website today. Well, I'll tell you about that piece. You guys can go down in the comment section and let me know which player or players you'd like to trade up for this year. Now, if you guys want to pick up a piece of nice merch from us here at Chat Sports, you guys can go chatsports.com/Steelers Talk to pick up your Steelers Talk channel logo t-shirts today. These t-shirts are $24.99 on our website right now. So I hope that that's an affordable price. And I think that, this is a t-shirt that you can wear around the house. This is a t-shirt that you can wear to any Steelers event, whether you're going to the draft this year, whether you're going to Latrobe in training camp this year, whether you're going to a game or, wherever you're going to a summer barbecue, you can just rep the channel. I really do appreciate your guys' support. So chatsports.com/Steelers Talk to get yours today. Again, they're $24.99 on our website. And that link is down there in the comments and description of today's show. You guys can click that link. It'll take you right to our website where you guys can make a purchase. All right, so now speaking of Bill Barnwell, he had another trade idea for the Pittsburgh Steelers here in round one where he thinks the Steelers could trade Alex Highsmith for an additional first-round pick. Now, listen, man, if someone's offering me a late first-round pick for Alex Highsmith straight up, I would definitely have to think about that deal just because I think that's excellent value. But there is a catch here. It's not just Alex Highsmith that the Steelers need to give up here. In this projected trade, Barnwell has the Steelers sending pick number 53, so your second-round pick, and then a fourth-round pick as well to move back into the first round at number 29 with the Kansas City Chiefs. If you guys are wondering where this values Alex Highsmith as a trade asset, It values him at exactly the number 69th overall pick, which is a round 3 value. This is what Bill Barnwell has to say about this potential trade. Trading Highsmith would open a spot in the Steelers' starting lineup for Nick Herbig, who has been one of the most efficient pass rushers in football on a snap-by-snap basis over the past couple of seasons while serving as the third edge. Herbig is entering the final year of his rookie deal, and the Steelers won't want to lose the former fourth-round pick for nothing in free agency. Coming off a 7.5 sack, 18 knockdown season, the Steelers could move Highsmith, sign Herbig to an extension, and add more draft capital. With 2 first-round picks, the Steelers could make a massive move up the board if this were part of a larger deal. Solely focusing on number 29, though, this would be another way for the Steelers to get ahead of teams and start at the start of round 2 for Ty Simpson, or for them to add help elsewhere. Pittsburgh used a first-round pick on Broderick Jones to serve as its potential left tackle of the future, but he hasn't excelled anywhere on the line and suffered a scary neck injury last season. If Jones's viability is a concern, either because of his play or injury, moving up here for a left tackle prospect would make sense for Pittsburgh. Now, guys, I can't say that a trade like this is necessarily impossible. We've been discussing on this show for a while now that, the edge rusher situation, you can't keep TJ Watt, Alex Highsmith, and Nick Herbig on the same team forever. Something has to give eventually. And maybe the Steelers feel like now is the right time to let go of Highsmith so that they can give Nick Herbig that massive extension. And make him a full-time starter alongside his fellow Wisconsin Badger, TJ Watt, in this Steelers defense. However, I think Pittsburgh wants to keep this outside linebacker room together this season. And if I were the Steelers GM, I would definitely want to do that. If I were the Steelers head coach, I'd want to do that. This is a very clear win-now season for the Steelers. That's the way that they're approaching it. They're bringing back Aaron Rodgers. They decided to keep guys like Patrick Queen and Jalen Ramsey and all these veterans, and Cam Hayward's coming back for another season. Like, this is very clearly a year where Pittsburgh's going to try and make a play for a Super Bowl, and I think that you can keep everybody in this room. I think it is feasible, and the way that you do that is you extend Nick Herbig this offseason, you give him that extension, but then you kind of plan on trading Alex Highsmith next offseason. And how you set it up is you have Nick Herbig on a deal where the money in the cap hit doesn't really jump up until the second year of his contract, right? So this year he would be pretty cheap against the cap, while Highsmith and TJ Watt take up most of the money, and then Herbig's cheap. But then next year, when Herbig becomes the full-time starter and we trade Highsmith away, then he's making the kind of starter level cap hit that you expect your starting outside linebacker to kind of have. And this way, guys, you get to keep all 3 of these edge rushers in your room this year. You have the best possible outside linebacker group for this season possible. Then, Herbig gets his money, and he gets, I'm sure he wants a full-time starting role, but I'm sure if he gets his money, he can wait another year for that full-time starting role. Also, he's on track to become a full-time starter, so that's important to him. And then you also get something for Alex Highsmith, right? And I think that that's the perfect time to trade Highsmith next offseason, because he'd only have 1 more year left on his deal. He's going to be looking for a new contract extension, most likely, especially if he's coming off a good year. And if he's coming off a good year, which we are expecting from him this season, you can still get a good draft pick in exchange for him in the 2027 draft, and you can use that draft pick in a potential package to go get a quarterback, right? So I think that this is by far the best way to handle this. I would rather keep Highsmith this year and then trade him next offseason, as opposed to trading him this year for an additional first. But let me know what you guys think down there in the comments section. Would you guys accept this trade? Give me an A for accept or D for decline. Let me know what you guys think down there in the comments section. For me, I am declining this trade, and I am choosing to trade Highsmith next offseason. But let me know what you guys think down there in the comment section. Then we'll finish up today's show here with a potential day 2 trade-up partner here for the Pittsburgh Steelers, which is the Atlanta Falcons. Now, the Falcons don't have a first-round pick. They only have 5 picks total in the NFL Draft this year, and their new GM, Ian Cunningham, had some recent comments here that indicate that they're open for business there with their round 2 selection in a potential trade-down scenario. This is what he had to say. For us, it's one of those things where we have to go into this thinking we only have 5 picks. That's the worst case. If we come out of it with just 5 picks, we come out of it with just 5 picks. We are already looking at different ways to potentially manufacture some more. So obviously one of those avenues is trading down from your round 2 selection. And you guys can see here where what the Falcons have in terms of their draft capital this year. It's not a lot, right? You've got picks in rounds 2, 3, and 4. You have no pick in round 5, and then you got a pick in round 6 and a pick in round 7. So only 5 total picks, no first rounders. So it definitely seems like they're open for business for the Steelers to move up a few spots there in round 2 from 53 to 48. And I definitely think that Omar is going to be picking up the phone here, and they might even be working on a framework here for the Steelers to move up a few spots for a player that they really, really want and they want to go get at that number 48 selection. And really there's 2 options here, in my opinion, for the Pittsburgh Steelers. They can go about it in 2 ways. They can move up from 53, and I think that this is kind of something that it could look like, where you swap second round picks, and then you send a 5th and a 7th round pick in the direction of the Falcons. It's a very low price tag to move up and get your guy in round 2 if you're the Pittsburgh Steelers. Or another kind of solution here is you could, trade up and use multiple of your round 3 picks to add an additional round 2 pick. So you keep pick number 53, but you also move up to get pick number 48. And what it would look like here is you give up pick 76, your first third rounder, and then pick number 99, your third rounder, and then your first fourth rounder at pick 121. And this way you would have your first round pick, you would have 2 second round picks, and you still have a third round pick, still have a fourth round pick, but you kind of get these higher end prospects here early on in the NFL draft. I definitely think this is one to keep an eye on here as we approach the NFL draft in just a couple weeks here. So let me know what you guys think down there in the comment section. Which trade up with the Atlanta Falcons would you guys prefer? Would you rather just trade up a couple spots and give up less draft capital, type 1, or would you rather have that second round pick and draft twice in the second round? You have to give up more to do so, but I think that it might be worth it for the Pittsburgh Steelers. Type 1 or 2 for me down there in the comment section. I greatly appreciate your guys' support, and that'll be it for today's first Steelers Talk video of the day. We're going to have another one come out this evening for you guys, talking about some of the draft visitors that are in Pittsburgh here today. Some very interesting first-round caliber players are in the Berg this afternoon, so very excited to talk about those players, guys. If you don't want to miss that video, make sure you guys click that subscribe button and turn on your notifications so you know when that video comes out. Greatly appreciate your guys' support. Click that subscribe button if you haven't already. And until next time, guys, here we go, Steelers.